So this may or may not be my favorite episode of Oshinoko in like quite a while. Not to say that any of these episodes have been lackluster or not to par or anything like that, but this episode just seemed to smack the emotions and reality right back into you and just make you down to earth and realize just like how much our mentors and things that we look up to affect our actions and the way that we do things, if that makes any sense. This episode was really great. So before I guess we talk a little bit more into it, let's discuss this episode, and then we'll jump into kind of what I feel at the end there for the last little bit and go from there. So this episode starts off with Ruby, which we haven't really seen Ruby much these few episodes, which is a granted, expected considering this is an Aqua arc-esque type of season arc. So we come to find out, that she got featured in a Playboy magazine there, and a bunch of articles and things about the group and just all the shows they're doing, and their live streams are doing well. And she's talking to her two buddies in class. I think it's Minami and Frill, and one of them's a pinup and the other one's an actress, and she's just kind of like not necessarily like trying to brag, but just trying to fit in, especially considering the fact that she hasn't, because this is like a talent school and nothing that she's done has really achieved up until this point. And the other girls are kind of like jealous at the fact that she doesn't have anything to quote unquote brag about, because like they talk about how they kind of hate when other like people in the industry brag and everything. And like Frill even mentions about this guy asking her out on a date from the industry, and she turned him down because he's kind of a whore. And Minami even like heard he was kind of a whore too. So you've got these both sides like bickering and bantering, and obviously Ruby even's like, well, this is kind of bragging at this point now. So I mean, she kind of gets to see the outside perspective of how they kind of feel about it. So you gotta love it. And so obviously Aqua gets back to her house, or I guess not her house, the studio specifically. And Cho is there and Miyako is there. And Ruby is pretty much, like, hey, what about, us getting some shows? I want to be able to talk with the girls. And she's like, well, my hands are kind of tied right now with, obligations of that whole play thing going on with Kana, so you're kind of missing a member of the group, and until that's done, obligations are kind of going to be SOL. But with that being said and done, while they're discussing this and everything, our girl Kana shows up, and she's like, sucks. And Cho's like, what's going on? And she's like, well, the plays, for the foreseeable future been paused because, well, long story short, the mangaka doesn't approve of the script, and so we're kind of on a halt, which in theory is great timing, because that gives I mean, they don't really go into it, but that would, technically speaking, give Ruby a chance to get a show before the show goes, or the screenplay gets going. But I don't know. It was just say I really doubt they will, but in theory, hey, it's a good gap there. And so Ruby's asking about her brother, and she's like, "Oh, where's Aqua?" And of course, he's on a date, so she's not very happy about that. Just him. Someone's feelings are not feeling too good at this point. So we continue up with Aqua from the last episode, where him and his little girly Akane are going to this stage event, and it's called Smash Heaven, and it looks like this ping pong manga adapted into the stage play. And we all know sports manga, right? Like, they can be freaking excellent and they can be mid, but either way, just looking at this poster makes it look so enticing. Like, I'm actually kind of would love to go see that, not gonna lie to you. So they go there, and obviously Aqua doesn't know what to expect, and the instant he's there, the stage play gets going and they're sitting down and like this, they like one of the actors, I guess, sets the ball, and like Aqua gets this feeling of like the ball flying past him, like it's like a 4D show type of feel, and like he even like gets to experience it. And the way you get to see it, it's like obviously he's in like this galaxy and the balls are flying everywhere and there's just so much action and intensity going on in this stage play. And so the play ends, right? And obviously Aqua just looks extremely thrilled, right? Like he even like admits to his girlie that, you know, hey, this isn't at all what I expected. Like the play itself was excellent, the script was good. It's not like theater where it's just, you know, they have to do all that things like obviously Aqua was whining about with like changing sets and everything like that. Just the fact that the stage they were at, like the seats rotated so they could have different sets ready to go on this, you know, stage. And so like he's really in love with it. And of course she's really happy about it because she wants him to fall in love with it like she's in love with it, because obviously that's where she comes from. So she's really happy about it. And they're kind of just sitting there drinking their, it looks like, I can't even tell, it looks like some type of boba, but they're squares, so I couldn't tell you. And where they're kind of getting along and talking, we get to see the director for their screen. And I'm trying to think of his name right now. It's I think it's Raida. I want to say it's Raida. And he's talking about, you know, like, you know, I seen you guys coming out, and, you know, after shows, I kind of like to just judge what people's faces are looking like. You know, if they're smiling, I did my job right. And if they're kind of just flat faced, it was kind of a bomb. And he's seen those two walking out, and he's just kind of seen the smiles on Aqua's face, and like, you know, how much he enjoyed it. So obviously he was doing something right. And so like, you know, he even like asked those two, he's like, oh, I'm sorry if I'm intruding, but I had to check the you know, the situation out here. Obviously he's not really intruding, but it's a quote unquote date, you know? So he even like mentions the fact that the screenwriter that actually wrote the script that they're doing, Goa, wrote that one as well. And, you know, obviously with him being in limbo right now, things are just not going so good for him. But, you know, Aqua's like, you know, he's even like kind of like rereading the script and like he's like, look, the Tokyo Blade script obviously isn't exactly to the manga, but they're using like the venue's strengths to add to the story, because when you adapt something, it can't be, you know, one for one to work in different mediums. You know, it's like live action series like on Netflix, you know, like obviously the Yu Yu Hakusho or the One Piece, or, you know, just a few others to name. Some of them just don't work, okay? Especially shonen does not work for live action adaptations, but they work with the means they have and try to get the job done. Are they great? Not necessarily, but at the same time, it's kind of an honor for, you know, your work to get adapted like that, and just to sometimes not take it so hard, which is going to come into this latter half of this episode. But he, you know, kind of understands that, and, you know, he realizes that Goa kind of just had to do what he could to get that script to where it was. And our not director, but head of performance is like, you know, Goa, you know, he loves doing this stuff. It's like his passion. So obviously he doesn't want to ruin it, considering the fact, you know, it's something that he loves to do. So why the heck would he ruin it, you know? And it sucks that, you know, our little mangaka diva kind of sadly has a little bit of an ego at this point, but, you know, it gets described in a little bit, but poor little Biko is just not about it. And so, you know, Aqua kind of comes up with this idea, you know, to kind of be like, you know, maybe I can figure something out, because even, you know, his little girlfriend's, you know, saying like, you know, even she has problems with this script. However, he's doing the best he can, and the script isn't terrible. Like, he adapted it pretty damn well. And so Aqua's like, you know, my my mentor kind of taught me something like this, you know, and I'm going to try fixing this. So Hako's coming to the rescue, right? And he, right now, I mean, we haven't seen the discussion or anything at this point in the episode, but he's making some connection calls. He's calling Oriko, the mangaka for Sweet Love, I want to say the name of the manga was. And the next scene we get, we see her at her house and everybody comes in. So it looks to me as if in this room we have Akane, Aqua, Kana, and sadly our little mangaka's least favorite person, Melt. And so she invites them in, and they get to kind of see what a mangaka's room looks like, you know. And of course, Kana's bragging the fact that, you know, I was here multiple times when we were screening for the last one. Just kind of trying to, you know, do her little brag thing. Trying to make Akane mad, but, you know, we all know how Kana works, and we love that about her. So, you know, even to this point, poor Melt is like trying to compliment her and everything, and she's, you know, not about it. Like, she's still kind of salty about that. Like, this poor guy's just trying his best. He really is. And, you know, she's like trying to, you know, like cheer, you know, make a toast about the whole situation. But of course, everybody's a minor, so she's the only one drinking the Asahi. R.I.P. But in the background, she's talking about, you know, once you guys turn legal drinking age, you guys got to come celebrate with me. Like, hey, if that's her vice, it is what it is. And so, you know, we get this kind of like I said earlier, revelation about how Aqua's like thinking back to when he was working with the director, like his pretty much father figure at this point in this reincarnational life. And how, you know, not in just manga, but like in any medium, you know, when they believe their like abilities are second to none, they get this ego trip and they won't listen to anybody. And it's just a whole vicious cycle, sadly. And even Aqua realizes that her being Abiko's mentor, she's pretty much the only person that's gonna be able to talk her down. You know, she's not gonna listen to anybody else, only her, and it's gonna take a little bit of something, sadly. But we gotta work our way to that. And we also come to find out that Abiko was actually supposed to be at this get together event thing, but she couldn't make it because of deadlines and stuff. So we get this talk, right? And it's pretty much about the fact of Yoriko talking how, you know, she does monthly manga posts, and that's enough to have slightly a life to, you know, enjoy yourself and not burn yourself out to the point of exhaustion and fatigue and all of those things that come with the territory, especially in this industry. And, you know, she even makes this sly comment about the fact that, you know, you have to be a soldier whose brain's been, you know, turned up to handle weekly publications, because like it's just so taxing on, you know, the psyche and everything. And, you know, she even mentions how the fact that with Abiko not being able to make it, how she's got to do, you know, she's got to color for the anime for her character. She's got to write the screenplay. She's got to write her weekly freaking chapters. Like, she has a lot on her freaking plate, and it's not helping, you know, her whole situation. Even though, you know, obviously she's a chatterbox when it comes to the thing that she loves manga, but when it comes to like dealing with people and just situations, she's miserable at it, which is obviously coming extremely into play into the situation that we have at hand in this little arc here. And, you know, even like she says, you know, that like reading Abiko's like manga, she understands what she's trying to portray and what's going on with her, which is something that, you know, obviously mangaka can kind of do. It's just like any job, you know, when you're kind of in an industry and you can kind of read somebody's work, you can kind of tell what they're up to. And so, you know, with her being her assistant, they kind of BS'd more and more and more, and they came kind of attached to each other. And she even like calls, be called little cute kid, because I mean, honestly, she's young. She's just starting. She got fame right off the, pretty much right off the freaking bat. And, it's really a lot of pressure. Especially with, everything that she's getting adapted all at once is just insanity. So like, even like all those guys are like, doesn't her editor like kind of caution her or help her? And it's like, she even says, when you got a mangaka with a head a certain way, there's so many things that they'll only listen to. And then even when you want to kind of take a break with like a publication like that, they don't want, obviously, for you to take a break or end, because if your manga's selling well, why the hell would the company want you to stop? Who cares about your health? You're selling good. Don't you do that? And so, pretty much it's a whole like terrible freaking thing. And with everybody telling you you're doing good, you're doing good, you're doing good. But like in reality, everything's not going good. They're just lying to you to pretty much keep you driving forward. And obviously Kana's like, I can relate to that all too well. Dealing with, I guess her own childhood acting things, and then like carrying everybody at the same time with the last show she did. So like, she understands like you got to be honest with somebody. You can't just lie to them about, things and just pretend everything's okay, because that's just not how life works. And so after that, she kind of like describes, because obviously Akko's like trying to tell her, about the fact that, she's the only person that's gonna be able to talk to her, but she's kind of like thinking to herself, I kind of tried to, and we get a flashback to after the whole situation with her talking about taking over the whole script and rewriting it. And she's like trying to describe to her, like those guys were in a really tight spot, and of course, Abiko's like, you're way too considerate. They totally ruined your show, and it's just not, right. And, I'm a first-rate artist, and, 90% of people's works are trash, and they're all third-rate. And, it's just like a complete 180 spin, because obviously she's kind of letting it get to her head, but at the same time she thinks about like even more back into the past about how they're eating dinner together, and Abiko's talking about her, her manga's getting an anime and how many copies it sold and how exciting it is. But at the same time, to Abiko, she'll always be her mentor, which is like obviously something that she's going to take to heart. And it's almost like as if obviously she still cares about her sensei's opinion, her mentor, but at the same time, everything going on in that ego trip, and just the matter of how burnt out she is and not, making deadlines is just starting to get to her, and so she comes back to reality after that and explains to the whole group how, she doesn't like her work to be tampered with, and like she also understands how she feels, but like you gotta let people, do what they want when they adapt it. But at the same time, keep it real. You know what I mean? You can't have 100% perfect expectations. And, kind of with that being said, they kind of end, the little snacks, and, well, nobody's really drinking except for, the adult, but the snacks and a little get together here, just discussing all that. And Akko, tells, her to give this to Abiko sensei. And we don't exactly see what it is right off the bat, but it's in a manila envelope. And when he hands it off to her, she kind of has this like puzzled look on her face, not knowing exactly what it is. I mean, maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. It's not really, I guess, straightforward told to you, but she's got it and she's going to give it to her. So the next day, or it can even be that night, I don't know per se, they kind of just flash to it. She's going to stop by, she tells her, I've got something for you, and I'm on my way. Is that cool? And she's like, yeah, come on over. And this here, in my opinion, is like the part I'm really talking about here, the freaking frosting on the cake. This part of the episode is so good. So obviously she comes on in, and she's just busting her butt working on manga panels, and she's asking, Bika, like, where's your assistants? Where's everybody? Why is nobody helping you? You're a day late on the deadline, aren't you? And she's like, yeah, I just kind of fired them, because like, you try teaching them and they're not good enough, and then you've only got so much time to do things, and I gotta make it to this like expectational level because that's what the fans want. And so like, it's so brutal, and she talks about how long it's been 2 months she's been doing this, right? So she's doing those panels by herself for weekly publication. She's doing the coloring for adaptation, and she still has to rewrite the script. And like, she even tells her, like, her sensei tells her, like, you need to like slow down, because she even, Akiba, or freaking, oh my gosh, names. Abiko is telling her, she's only getting 2 hours of sleep a night, and she's like, you can't do that. You're gonna burn yourself out, and you'll never ever want to draw again. Which I feel like, I love the fact that this is like an actual manga artist like saying this about the industry. It's just really cool to get that insider's perspective about things we kind of already know, but like into a more in-depth analysis, if that makes sense. And so like, like I said, she brings up the script and she's like, I haven't even started that yet. I gotta do that after the panels. And so she's like, look, okay, you're miserable, you need sleep, we need to get this done, so I'm gonna help you do background works, okay? And so she starts pulling out a chair. She's getting ready to help, hash out all the backgrounds on there so she can actually freaking get to sleep. And she instantly looks at these panels and she's just like, look, you've got way too much detail in these for a weekly series, especially doing this all by yourself. And like, it's a shame, because like, what do you do? And of course, Abiko's like, yeah, I bet they sent all the good help to the big shots, even though at this point, with as many copies as she sold and her ego and everything, she's kind of being a big shot herself, but she's telling Abiko, like, look, I know you're very particular about your work, but like, you can't live like this. And there's garbage bags everywhere, cans everywhere, living off caffeine. And like, she's just instantly like, they're gonna forsake me if I slack once. And it's like, look, you can't do that, and like, even like, she even calls Abiko out on the fact that that she's holding the quality of her work as like a hostage and running away from like communicating with people, because she knows that she has problems with communicating with people. And like, she retorts back, of course, because it's Abiko, and these two are about to get into this heated argument. And like, she's pretty much saying, like, I bust my butt with high expectations week by week, and then freaking Sensei's just, pretty much to the point where she's about to snap, because Abiko goes, like, my manga's like more people and it's more popular, and then she just has it, and she's like, yours might be more popular, but mine's better than yours. Like, it's more entertaining. And like, this is where the real freaking level gets hit, because she even like calms down on her and like drops her down a peg and tells her, like, look, on a fundamental level, it's not entertaining. It's a shonen. And I hate to say this, but it feels like a stab at like Demon Slayer and stuff like that. Take that as you will. But it's, once that hype's over, it's going to be done, And they get in this huge debate, right? And, she comes to like poke and prod and try to figure it out. And she realizes that Abiko is like, trying to be this big shot manga artist, but like, she's like getting all weird about it because they're reading other people's opinions. And, then Abiko comes back and she's like, isn't it you that lost your fangs? Did you not see this adaptation of your work? And like, It's really sucky the way that this whole thing has to go down. But then she gives a Biko another reference about how, is it really fair that you're batting a .3 batting average, but you demand the same thing from everybody else? Obviously a metaphor. Like, just because you're on this level doesn't mean everybody else can be on that level, and you gotta like be able to give and take for something, especially you're gonna burn yourself out. And it's already starting to show at this point. And like Abiko's like, without manga, I'm a shut-in who knows nothing. Like, I don't know people. I only know my art. And pretty much those two, get bickering. And I feel like at the same time, it sucks that she doesn't necessarily have those communication skills with people. But it's something you got to work on. Not everybody's gonna have it easily. But like, you just gotta lean on the people that you do trust. Sometimes those few people are enough in your life, and they kind of get over this bickering whole thing, and they're just like, okay, we need to get inking because you got a deadline and we've already passed it, so we need to hurry the heck up. And so they get inking, and they finish, and it is now daylight, and she came at like nighttime, so you can tell they've been inking for quite a while now, right? And they both just look dead, just freaking dead. And it's one of those things where they even say to each other, just because they're down in the dumps, sadly they are manga artists and they do have their pride still. So it's one of those things where it's like, you get it. Even if you're sad, you still have to meet a mark, because people are expecting that mark. But you got to have your pride, and they apologize to each other for everything that was said and done. And you can tell it's a relationship that is deeply built, you know what I mean, on each other, because those two are so freaking good together. Like, just the way that they're perfect for each other. But after that, Biko kind of like approaches her and she's like, look, your manga is so much better than that, because the fact that, we get this whole back thing of how obviously when she was starting to be a, I guess I'm trying to get the word, assistant for her manga, she had this thing sticky noted up, freaking 100 of them in there, right? And the fact that she even tells her that her manga is the most entertaining thing in the world. And the fact that she understands better than anyone that your favorite series getting, I guess, ruined out with an adaptation is disappointing as hell, especially being your favorite piece of work. So why would she want to put her fans through something that she's had to experience herself? And it's really heartfelt, and I really love that moment because she gets the perspective from a fan and an artist. And it's just like, I understand why she wants to be perfect, but at the same time, you got to understand, And so obviously she, like pets Abiko and tells everything's gonna be all right, you awkward girl. It's just quaint. And so she leaves, and Abiko's there, and she's kind of watching the last couple episodes of the show that was adapted from her sensei. And we get to see our couple little faces, like Aqua, like part of him, and Kana, and their acting. I think she comes to realize, this adaptation might not have been so good, but they're pretty good actors. And, just to get that perspective, she does give her the thing that Aqua wanted to give her. And it was a ticket to the show that he went to with his girlie. And, now she's going to experience what it's like to have this different adaptation and perspective, and what it's like and how it has to be laid out, and just the different medium, and what has to go into it. And that's something that I think is going to be really freaking awesome in the next episode, because that is the ending of this episode. And holy crap, I just really loved like the feeling of, how relatable and real it is to the real world, especially, coming from somebody in the industry, kind of giving this whole like vibe. And obviously it's not all realistic, but at the same time, it just has this feel like it's genuine and just awesome. But at the same time, with that mystery, still trying to figure out who their father is. Oh, I love it so much. Yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. It means a lot to me. And if you're feeling generous, hit that subscribe button. We're getting close to that 500. But yeah, with that being said, this has been Squids, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.